I love learning new things. I usually don't go for science classes, but this year I decided to take astronomy and forensic science.
What sparked my interest was my biomedical science class that I took freshman year.
I would say that the start of my interest in STEAM was working with my grandfather and just seeing the power of robotics, what it could do.
We were doing some volunteer work, and that's when I started realizing that I was really into the environment and I really love science.
I was first interested in STEAM, I guess out of my own curiosity, but more the artistic side of my dad.
When I was in 10th grade, we did a project in my AP biology class where we got to edit the genes in nematodes and mutate them. And that made me know that I really wanted a career in science.
After discovering biomedical engineering, I knew that this is what I wanted to do. Combining these two broad fields of medicine and engineering to save patients' lives, I think that's so fascinating.
The project that I presented is a clay fountain that I made myself, and it actually works. It has a pump inside. There was a little bit of engineering into the fact that it had to function properly.
The essay that I wrote about was basically being a woman in this male-dominated field, and the whole concept of it is something that represented me as a person, because I keep my notes basically on one side of the page, and then I usually have diagrams that are colored and just pictures that elaborate on the notes.
This is my mousetrap card from engineering. Besides it having to move from point A to point B, it also had to blow out a fire. So I realized that it wasn't consistently stopping in the same spot. So instead I did a pass-by method, which is this final one here, where I had a balloon and then it would just pass by and the balloon would pop over the flame and it would blow it out. So I kind of figured out the 4 ways that don't work and the 1 way that did work. And so I just wanted to get there because it was problem solved.
A big problem with 3D printing is you can be printing for hours and hours, and then one layer shift in the construction of the part will cause the entire part to fail and all the filament is wasted. This motor is typically used in a 3D printer, and these boards on the back are designed to monitor the location of the motor shaft and adjust it to whatever is needed. So I've worked with several community members and we've constructed a project so that these boards can be reprogrammed so that they work properly and they work better than the original manufacturer had coded them. The idea is that if the 3D printer is never knocked out of place, it will immediately correct back to the position that it's supposed to.
Earlier this year, I wrote a paper on nuclear fusion, which is different from nuclear fission because it doesn't produce any harmful radioactive waste, and it's almost completely clean. It's possible for humans to actually make the world into a better place and to actually fix all the damages that we've caused by using so much fossil fuels in the past.
I came here in 8th grade, not knowing any English, well, barely English. My teachers just kept saying how it was surprising, how impressive it was for me to learn a new language so fast.
Well, I'm always finding applications from my hobbies to science and school. And so photography was one thing that I'd always wanted to try. And so when I got a camera, I just started taking pictures of a bunch of things.
I enjoy designing parts, especially to fix common things. Something might break around the house, and then instead of buying a part online or replacing it, it's oftentimes easier to just fix the part. I also really enjoy working on my robotics for the robotics team. I do a lot of coding outside of the team because of just the time constraints that we usually have when we're in the shop in school.
I'm a big sister in the Big Brother Big Sisters program. So we do a lot of activities involving science and involving math.
Some of my hobbies are playing tennis, running, hiking, biking, and painting. I really paint anything. It just depends on my mood. Sometimes it's abstract, sometimes it's nature, sometimes it's people. I like ultimate frisbee because it's kind of like football, and I like watching football, but it's a lot less intense.
Most of my hobbies are related to art. I love painting, drawing. I don't usually read books in general. It's more like comics and webtoons. They're so beautiful and the stories are really good.
So something someone might find surprising about me would be that I am a certified emergency medical technician, and now I'm a member of my local fire department, so every once in a while I would go down and just attend ride-alongs with the senior EMTs. I think it's so important, and realizing like the rush of adrenaline in an emergency, I just wanted to have that experience.
My dad actually taught me how to swing dance, and now we're working on cha-cha because he is a great dancer. Secondly, I also fence, so that's something that a lot of people don't expect, and that is also a lot of trial and error.
Something you might find interesting is the bi-wheel monowheel that we designed for my Odyssey of the Mind team. So it's a standard monowheel design, except we just had 2 of them. That's why I called it a bi-wheel monowheel. And we put a mobility scooter in the middle, and it provides a very smooth riding experience.
A big role model are my teachers and my mom in a specific. She's just like such a how do I say this? She's just always been cheering me on. She wants me to go to college and have a degree on something that I love and that like moves me every day.
My STEAM role model would have to be Katherine Johnson, and she's from the movie Hidden Figures. So she was actually a NASA mathematician who helped get the first person on the moon. And I thought that her story was amazing, not only because she's a woman and a woman of color, but because it like really inspired me. And one of her partners in crime
This would be Mary Jackson, and she was the first African-American woman engineer in NASA. So I just think she's so inspiring and so influential because not only did she overcome the barrier of being a woman, but an African-American woman.
So now that I'm doing engineering, I'm looking more towards her as well.
Yeah, I don't think we would be here without her, so.
I also have the build mentor at my robotics team. His name is Eric Knaus, and he was really influential because he was a high school student on the robotics team, and then he came back as a mentor and became an engineer professionally. And so getting to see that really inspired me to go into the robotics field.
My role model is probably my mom because she's always been interested in science, and me and her like going out in nature and finding cool rocks together.
Next year, I'm planning to attend University of Pittsburgh, majoring in biomedical engineering. I'm more interested in going into biomaterials and cell and tissue engineering.
My plans short term are to become a robotics engineer at WPI, and then my own business where I would be custom designing manufacturing lines for companies on contracts.
One thing I'm really passionate about is the environment. After high school, I'm going to attend Penn State University and get a degree in chemical engineering and help create nuclear energy so that we can go away from using fossil fuels.
I'm interested in studying like a mix of engineering and also sustainability, which isn't really widely known yet. I had always loved math, so now I'm like trying to look for a mesh between math and science, which turns out to be engineering and sustainability.
I definitely know I want to go to college and do something that I love, something that I haven't decided fully yet, but definitely it's there. When I came here, I was introduced to a lot of different mindsets and different ideas, which I feel was so great. I met people from Vietnam, from the Middle East, and I became friends with them. And I think it really helped a lot on my self-growth and the way that I think.
I kind of use the metaphor of like STEAM is my sister. She was holding my hand along the way, and now I'm kind of guiding others as well. So I'm taking her position and I'm still learning more, lots of trial and error.